Lovely. All right, so we'll start. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Leicester's Business Festival event, all about the secrets of tourism marketing, and how we as businesses can be a little bit more effective when it comes to online promotion. The event itself has been brought to you by Visit Leicester, your local visitor economy partnership for Leicester and Leicestershire. Last year we had one of the most popular events at Leicester Business Festival, and that's largely down to the quality of the speakers, and we're expecting this year to be no different. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Mike Denby and I'm the Director of Place Marketing. I cover Leicester City, but also Leicestershire County as well, and I'm honoured just to host this event this morning. The aim of this event, well, is to provide you with a knowledge on how you can make your business even more visible when it comes to attracting customers in what is a competitive marketplace. But today I just need a quick favour from you all. So essentially what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you use Twitter, please use the @visit_Leicester. And if you are putting any social media out there as well, if you could use a hashtag LBF 2024, there'll be some details that Jackie will put in the chat box as well if you can't remember those, but please feel free to tag us in to any social media posts. A little bit of housekeeping. If you hear a fire alarm, you've got to remember this is an online meeting, so the chances are you've left something in the toaster. Turn off your videos when the presenters are presenting, and also pop yourself on mute. There is an opportunity for questions after each presentation. You can either raise your hand and ask that online, or there's also a Q&A little button at the top, so you can use that if you prefer to type it. The session will be recorded. We'll circulate it to yourselves after. Gives you an opportunity to forward it on to any other businesses or colleagues as well. So first up, I'm going to introduce Rachel Gillis. She's our first speaker. Rachel will be talking about local visitor economy partnerships. She's going to be telling us about what they are, how they've changed the tourism landscape, but more importantly, how they can help businesses like yours. Rachel is our regional development lead for Visit England, and she covers the East Midlands and also the East of England. But previously she's held a number of different senior roles, whether that be at Visit Britain.
Gone on to mute, Mike.
She's our primary contact for Visit England. Rachel, it's over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Can we put the first slide on? It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you to the team for inviting me to join you to speak at the Business Festival today, even at this time in the morning. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what is an LVEP, how Visit England is changing the destination landscape through introducing LVEPs across the country, and how your LVEP, how Visit England through your LVEP can help and support you as a business. Have we got the slides? I can't see the slides. I don't know if anybody else can.
Just taking myself off mute. I can see Rachel. I'm assuming others can. Is that right, colleagues? Just give me a nod. Yeah.
Yes, I can see them. Yeah. Okay, right. So on to the second slide then. So Visit England, who are we? I hope that you have an idea of who Visit England, Visit Britain are, but if not, just a very quick sort of intro. So we're two brands, one organisation essentially. Visit Britain's role is to promote Britain as a destination internationally via our marketing campaigns as part of cross-government great campaigns. And that's all about driving growth across the country with the primary focus of working with our inbound markets. And at Visit England, we focus much more on working with, not surprisingly, the English side of the industry. So that's working with the businesses like yourselves, destinations, and especially through our local visitor economy partnerships. And we're through rolling out that process, we're simplifying the regional structure for English tourism. We're doing lots more around business support through providing guidance and training, and we're championing domestic tourism. Next slide, please. So I mentioned we're changing the landscape there, and this has really been triggered by a review of the Destination Management Organisation landscape, or DMO, that happened a couple of years ago. It was carried out independently by somebody called Nick Dubois. You've probably, if you've been following things happening in the world of domestic tourism, you're possibly aware of it. But this review was premised on creating a resilient industry post-pandemic, and it was about creating that resilience was a real driving factor for the government commissioned review. Now that review is really stands on the foundation of that great destinations are all about great places to live and work as well as visit. You know, if we get one of those right, we can get all of those right. It's about putting in place strong governance that can drive place shaping and really shift the local and wider perceptions on a place, and all of that can really help to contribute towards local pride. So great run destinations can attract new investment into the place and grow income through the visitor economy and create and sustain jobs as well. So it's all about all of those aspects of placing the visitor economy in the wider local and national economy. And the implementation of the Destination Management Organisation review is something that we have been focusing on heavily at Visit England, and it is transforming the destination landscape. And it's doing that through this process of accreditation. So when Nick Dubois did the review, he identified that there were so many destination management organisations out there, a huge number, and that Visit England needed to have the opportunity to really focus on and work with a smaller number of strategic organisations. And he recommended the main sort of focus of his review was to recommend a process of accreditation, and that's the process that we've been running for the last almost 2 years now. And another part of the model landscape that he envisaged was that some of those local visitor economy partnerships that would then work together would collaborate in another tier called Destination Development Partnerships. And the next slide, just if we can move on to that, just gives a visualization of what Nick Dubois envisaged that landscape to look like in a very sort of simplified way. So with visitors at the top, supported and delivered by services through businesses and other destination organisations. And then he envisaged this tier of local visitor economy partnerships. And what he meant by that was they were the destination management organisations that have come forward through this accreditation process, demonstrated that they can be a strategic partner for Visit England. And so they, as a result of this, the transformation that we are getting to is that Visit England now is able to have a strategic and much deeper relationship with what is something more like 40, we envisage 40 LVEPs when we have completed the picture, rather than what was previously a much, as you can imagine, weaker and shallower relationship with over 150 DMOs across the landscape. So as we roll this programme out, and we create this portfolio of local visitor economy partnerships, we're creating this real sort of portfolio of organisations that can work very closely and strategically with Visit England. Now, Nick also envisaged that those, as I said, those local visitor economy partnerships would cluster together at that next tier. So that's the next to the bottom tier in that inverted pyramid on the slide. And he called this tier Destination Development Partnerships, or DDPs. And he said this is where government should support those DDPs financially. And if they work together around a growth plan, they would be able to deliver much more for the destination by working together strategically, working on things like strategic transport, route connectivity, skills, commissioning research that supports future investment in, for example, accommodation and so on. And government accepted most of the recommendations, but with this one said, yes, we like it, but we want it to be tested. So they asked Visit England to test it. And we have 2 pilots running at the moment, one in the Northeast and one in West Midlands, and they run until March 2025. So we're hoping with the new government that we'll have their support to further roll out that tier of destination development partnerships with their support and some funding. But obviously we're in that slight wait and see mode at the moment. But we are very hopeful that we will be able to do that, because this regional structure of destination development partnerships, standing on a foundation of very well developed and well organised LVEPs, is a really great part of a kind of regional structure which this new government is really interested in. So we're very hopeful that we'll get the opportunity to do that. Next slide, please. So this is what that rollout looks like at the moment visually, as a map. And it's not quite correct, because yesterday we announced another LVEP. So you are now one of 35 LVEPs. We've got well over 3/4 of England covered with LVEPs. We're really pleased that if you have a look at some of those names on there, you know, we've got Cumbria, we've got Manchester, we've got Cornwall, lots of the big sort of hitters, and many other destinations there coming in. And that's our growing portfolio of local visitor economy partnerships. Next slide, please. So what does that mean for destinations and places like Leicester and Leicestershire, and for businesses like yourselves and other stakeholders? Well, it means a clear strategic link from Leicestershire through your local visitor economy partnership to the national, through Visit England, right up to government and DCMS. And so that's an opportunity for us to then be able to work together on really important things. So at the moment we're working on our England visitor economy strategy and a new brand for England, English tourism. And our LVEPs are working hand in hand with us on that. So it's a direct connection from the local, what's important locally in terms of the visitor economy, right through to what's important nationally. And we've got another opportunity in the next week or so to feed into the government's industrial strategy. So again, it's not just Visit England feeding in, we're taking those soundings, getting those views from the local through our LVEPs up to the national. So it's that direct link. And there's also going to be lots of opportunities for LVEPs and businesses to benefit from expertise from the Visit England team. So I've got colleagues who work across subjects like sustainability and accessibility, digital innovation and so on, as well as our marketing programmes. So it's a great opportunity for the LVEP to be able to benefit from those and to be able to cascade those through to local businesses. Next slide, please. So in terms of destinations, so one of the big opportunities is that we're able to work through that group of LVEPs to gain much more insights into our potential visitors, our markets, and what destinations need through the development and the rollout of our data initiative. And over the last year, the LVEPs working together has really led to some fantastic new sets of data, and I'm going to touch on that in the next couple of slides that come after this. And by creating that portfolio of local visitor economy partnerships, we've really got a group that providing each other with peer support. They're creating lots of opportunities through collaboration to develop new insights, ways of working. It's more efficient as well. And we've really got a kind of powerhouse of really great ideas and growing capacity across the country by introducing this, implementing the review and introducing this new landscape. And then finally it's a locally significant brand, if you like. But it's more than a brand. It's about conveying confidence to local partners that you are clearly working with a body that is recognised and supported and accredited by Visit England. Next slide, please. So I mentioned research. Research and insights are really important to us at Visit Britain and Visit England. We collect, we commission many data sets, and we make lots of this information freely available on our website for you and others to be able to use. Next slide, please. I'm conscious that there's such a lot of information on our website. There's some really, really good stuff, but there is a huge amount. So I wanted to use this slide to just convey the kind of breadth of information that we have there that is available to you to dip into when you wish. This is not how it's structured on the website. It's much more visual than that. But what I've done here is just got some groups of different sorts of information to give you a feel for what's there and available to you, either working individually as businesses or working collectively with your local visitor economy partnership. So top level, the green piece there, really it's like the backbone of our information. It comes from the official stats from ONS, and it's basically 3 sources of data. So we've got the International Passenger Survey, and we've got the 2 sets of data which are for domestic tourism. So we've got the GBTS, which is the domestic overnight, and the GBDVS, which is the day visitor survey. So those sets of data, we are getting much more nuanced about cutting that data to relevant LVET boundaries and county boundaries and so on. So we're getting much more granular information, which is much more useful in the planning that needs to help go on with within the destination, whether it be new product or whether it be marketing campaigns and so on. Then in that red box, the England research, some really interesting stuff around there around domestic sentiment tracker, which I'm going to come to on another slide. And that's kind of really keeping a pulse on what domestic visitors are feeling at any point in time. Grew out of the pandemic, but still relevant. We do an annual attraction survey. So if you are an attraction, that's definitely one to look up. Make sure that you feature in there. If you don't, get in touch with the LVET. We can make sure that we can get your data going into that if you don't spot yourself in there. And we've got various other sources of data in that dark blue box. And I'm just going to pick out 1 or 2 because there's quite a lot in there. But the new visa data, now that's not visa as in visa entry, that's visa card data. So that's one of the sources of data that many of the LVEPs said to us we would really like to get to be able to use that. And by collaborating together, we've been able to procure that data set nationally. It's available, it's cut down to those local levels. And the brilliant thing about that is it's not about what people say they're going to do. It's actually from where they have spent money in various categories. And it also tells us not only where they've spent money geographically and whether they've spent it on retail or accommodation, it tells us what their source market is, whether they're domestic, international, and so on. And that's a new piece of research. It says coming soon. We've got some of it, but there's always more refinement to do. So that's one we're learning about at the moment. And then the bottom right, I just pick out Midas there. That was a really big piece of work, a really big study that looks into all sorts of travel behaviours and so on. And then we're doing some other work around our England strategy. And one of the areas there that we've never really done before is we've commissioned some brand new research on the wider social benefits of having tourism and the visitor economy. So we're not just using the same old, we are developing some quite new and innovative sources of data. So next slide, please. So just got one slide here on one of those sources of data. So this is our domestic sentiment research. And as I mentioned, this is one that we developed through the pandemic. It was weekly then, it's now monthly. So it's still a real good sort of pulse check on what people are feeling. And At any point in the next 12 months, it's telling us that 78% of people domestically are planning a trip, which is on par to what it was this time last year. And from our most recent survey, which was in October, we can see that a quarter of people are planning a domestic trip in the next 2 months. And when we look then at the East Midlands data, this is a data set that just goes regionally at the moment. The East Midlands is fairly low ranking in terms of the size of the sector, size of the share is about 6%. So that shows there's plenty of headroom for growth there. Our market is still very dominated by London. And that's one of our constant sort of challenges to change that and to focus our activity on regional spread. But what this data is telling us, and this is, I think, just a little insight that's really useful for you, is to see that at the moment, in the next 2 months, that's November and December, people are mainly looking to travel to cities. They're looking to travel with family and friends, and then we're really most interested in food and drink at this time of year. So you bring those three together, and a place like Leicester has some really great opportunities. And this is really, as I say, a short-term piece of data. So this is saying that in the next 2 months, people are doing this. So this is a great opportunity to say, hey, what can we do as businesses? What do we do that's relevant to that? How can we turn that into content that we can get out very quickly, whether it be on our social media channels or news shots, whatever your regular communication is, and just entice people into moving from saying that's what they're going to do to actually deciding to, yes, we're going to go into Leicester, we're going to go to try out this great new food place, we're going to experience something with a family together in the city. So it's just tapping into those very quick sort of pulse checks of information. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to now, in the next few slides, I just want to say a little bit about Visit Britain. So when we look at our research and data, we can still see that we are building back demand after the pandemic. We're nearly there. Things are much stronger in terms of value, but we've got more to build back in terms of volume. Next slide, please. So it's our priority, building demand, building the value, and it's still really challenging because tourism is an extremely competitive global industry, and we want to make sure that visitors choose Britain for their next trip. We want to make sure that they stay longer and they explore further. They get more out into the breadth and depth of what England has to offer. And our role is to position Britain and England within Britain as a dynamic and diverse and sustainable and inclusive destination. And we do this through a number of ways, but we're linking buyers internationally with suppliers locally. We do that through things like familiarisation visits and events and so on. We're constantly developing new content for our websites and our social media channels to inspire visitors through campaigns and so on. I'm going to touch on one of those campaigns in a moment. And we work commercially with partners internationally. And if we could just go on to the next slide. Before I get onto the campaign, this is just a little bit of background to why we are where we are with it. So our audience research tells us that many visitors still go to London, and we need to do lots more to get visitors out of London. And a place like Leicester's in a really fabulous position to do that. You know, just an hour or so train journey, a city this time of year, great offer. But despite all of our efforts internationally, Britain is still viewed as a place that has got amazing history and heritage, but it will always be there. So we have to try to create that urgency, that desire to travel now, immediately, and inspire people to want to not just think about traveling, but to actually commit and book. And so we're doing that through creating campaigns that try to cut through with competitors in a kind of bold and creative way to encourage people to go beyond just thinking about coming and actually booking a trip. So next slide, please. And we're doing that in an upcoming campaign, which starts in January, and it's all about tapping into the mood of set jetting. And this is a massively rising global trend in travel. Many of you will probably have come across it, and you'll probably experience it yourself. So film and TV are really powerful motivators for visiting Britain. And we did some research relatively recently, and according to that research, almost a third of potential visitors to the UK are really keen to visit film locations and as seen on screen experiences. The research that we've done also talks about how valuable it is financially. We've got some links on one of the upcoming slides to that research if you're really interested in digging into it. But we have many fantastic locations around the country. And if we just take 1 year back in 2022, we had over 220 films in production here in Britain. So we've got this huge opportunity to tap into. Next slide, please. And we're doing that through Starring Great Britain. So this is the campaign that we launch after Christmas. And it's all about saying, well, let's capitalise on the love of British entertainment and that whole sort of surge around set jetting to encourage film story fueled visits to Britain. And Britain's the birthplace of some of the world's most loved and highest grossing films and franchises. So we're really trying to tap into that strength of offer and that passion to visit places at the moment. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we've got just a few examples of films and just a few examples of genres. But the main campaign that we're going to be developing is going to focus internationally on what we call experience seekers. They're a segment that research tells us are most likely to return to travel earliest. So that's what we're focusing on internationally. Domestically, it's obviously much broader than that. But what we're saying here is that there are so many film genres and so many film opportunities for you to tap into that. And I know that Ross has done a really great piece of work for Leicester to really set you up to be able to take advantage of this locally. And he will perhaps say something about that later. So next slide, please. So this is just an opportunity to say there are lots of ways into film and TV, whether it's thinking about what's actually been made or shot in Leicestershire, or whether it's a story that's been inspired by the place, or whether it's something that's nothing to do with Leicester or Leicestershire, but it's something that's trending that you can make a connection to with your business and your offer. It's about thinking creatively about quirky things and milestones and so on. And I know that from Ross's research and looking into that, he's found some really great ones to give you a start for that. So Matt Damon's astronaut suit is on display and is a great sort of hook there at the Space Centre. So many of those really quirky opportunities for you to think about, use them on social media and so on. On this slide there's a couple of links. They go back to that research that I mentioned if anybody's really interested in digging into the detail. But what we've also done is we've created a social handle. So we'll be using hashtag Starring Great Britain on all of our social campaigns from January onwards, and we'd invite you to do the same, to use that tag on all of yours, anything that you're doing, so that the team in Leicester and Leicestershire can pick that up, and we can as well. So next slide, please. So just a couple of last things. So beyond what we're doing to support beyond that international marketing piece. Just next slide. I just feel that it's a really great opportunity to give a shout out for our business advice hub. I've mentioned at the beginning that we do a lot of support and create a lot of resources to enable businesses to develop their own business, to become better and stronger. And this is a link here. The QR code takes you to the Business Advice Hub. If you haven't managed to find it yet, do have a look. There's a huge amount of resources there, tools, guidance, quick tips, really detailed things to help you through legal and planning issues and also. So I'd invite you to have a look when you've got a moment. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I will try and answer a few questions if you have any.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. I've just given you a virtual round of applause because I appreciate people are on mute, but thank you so much for that presentation. I've never been told that I'd be good for TV, but I have been told I've got a face for radio, so I think I'm halfway there when it comes to media. In terms of questions, feel free to pop those in the Q&A. There's a few that well, there's one that I've added in myself, and there's another one that was from Helenka. So let me just pull up the Q&A button. So the first one, I'll go with Helenka's. Can Visit England or the local LBET provide funding or promotional support for the East Midlands Wine Trail, a project that's planned to launch in spring 2025? I'll bring Jackie in first, if that's okay, Jackie, to answer that question.
Is that me? Can Visit England provide funding?
Well, I thought it'd be an opportunity to talk about Taste the Place and some of the promotional opportunities as part of the LBET.
Yes, absolutely. So the Taste the Place campaign doesn't include any funding with it, but is a promotional campaign that Visit Leicester developed to highlight the food and drink offer across the across Leicester and Leicestershire. So it is split into some different categories, which is all about looking at the traditional food, our world sort of cuisine, veganism, and also things that are produced sustainably and locally. So what we can do is potentially help promote that Midlands wine trail through our Taste the Place campaign. So to get more eyes on it, spread the information about what that trail involves and how people can book on it or get involved across the Visit Leicester channels and as part of our Taste the Place campaign. So that's certainly something we can do at a local level to help support something that's being developed that involves food and drink.
So thank you. And Rachel?
Thank you. At a national level, it's quite similar. So food and drink is one of our sort of pillars in terms of content that we're interested in, history and heritage, another one, outdoor and adventure, another. So they fit so well with the three campaigns that you have as well. So we've got a really good synergy there. So if you're working with Jackie and the team here and Ross on getting into your getting the wine trail into the work that they're doing, that's exactly the sort of thing that they will be sharing with us for things like PR, trips, influencers. From time to time, we get great opportunities to arrange press trips and so on, and we would then be coming out to say, right, who's able to help us with this? And I know that Leicester and Leicestershire would be on our radar in terms of food and drink, definitely. So that would be one that we would be able to support in a marketing, social and PR kind of way. We don't sadly have a pot of money to support in a financial grant way, unfortunately, but it's more about being part of that wider campaign opportunity, content, PR and so on. Very similar to Jackie, but at a national level.
Thank you. And Helenka, there's a presentation coming up by Ross directly after this, but hopefully, again, in regards to promotion, we'll answer part of that question as well. In terms of a question from me, on your slide, you mentioned about destination development partnerships, Rachel. They're currently at the pilot stage and have been since 2022. Just an update on how they're currently progressing and what are the practical examples and learning that's worked really well as a result of the pilot so far?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, they have. One of them has been it has run for the whole of that time, so that's the Northeast. So they've done a lot more. The West Midlands pilot came on much later through a different sort of funding stream. So it's probably best to look for examples at the Northeast. There will be a full a kind of evaluation piece, but in terms of looking at the kind of things they've done, I know that they've made progress on things like, for example, commissioning accommodation surveys that have led to an understanding about what the gaps in accommodation are and what the opportunities are. So that's led to things like a pipeline in investment for them around accommodation. They've commissioned research into opening up new gateways and routes into the destination. So, for example, they were able to do a piece of research to demonstrate a case for bringing back the Bergen to Newcastle ferry. So these are quite big strategic things that a smaller partnership, an LVEP more locally might not be able to work on, but by collaborating together, they're able to sort of bring some extra resources which have come from government, and through that kind of critical mass of working together, they're able to sort of cut through, not just internationally, but cut through in terms of that, have a presence locally with the local sort of partners, the combined authority, the strategic investors and so on locally. So they're the kind of things that they've been making. There are lots of other examples, and the Northeast do. I mean, they do a series of webinars which businesses can join on. That you don't have to be local to join those. They've done various other sort of outputs to demonstrate what they're doing. So we can get some of those links and share those with you if they're of interest locally as well.
Thank you. I've got a question in the chat from Annie O'Brien. How long will the Star in Great Britain campaign run for? Is it a 1 year or a 5-year campaign?
Oh, good question. It's neither. We're aiming for 3 years. Yeah, but what's good is that it's not a kind of flash in the pan in January and February. We will be going out internationally in January, February, but we think it's got a lot of longevity, so we'll be working on that for a good sort of 2 to 3 years. So hopefully that it's not just a campaign that's going to be about promotion in international markets. It's going to shape a lot of things that we do. So we're going to be doing a lot of work around the supply side, from filming, from crews, to how we develop product locally that can really be relevant to international markets. So it's got some real longevity to it. So and that's why I think it's really one to start really thinking about how businesses can take advantage of it.
Wonderful, thank you. Question from Declan. What can Visit Leicester all businesses do to encourage a more regional spread and get tourists, brackets domestic or international? I'll pick up part of that question. When it comes to domestic, and I'm going to have to try and remember all these percentages now, but we do a lot of work when it comes to our current target market. The first and the biggest number of customers comes from London. I think that's around 30% of our total customers coming to our website. So obviously we track that data. Around 20% is from sort of Leicester and Leicestershire. And then the top 10 cities, we've got the top 10 cities, and that ranges, I think we've got Norwich is quite a high percentage. We've got areas like Plymouth, all the way up to Edinburgh. And then the key, sort of the core is Birmingham, Coventry, Milton Keynes is in there. So you can sort of see where the reach is. And I think Sheffield, we reach, I think that's a couple of 3% up in Sheffield. So what we do try and do is we're always tracking that data. Like I say, the vast majority, almost 75% of people that go on our website are outside of Leicester and Leicestershire. So that is something that we do on a regular basis to ensure that we are targeting areas outside of Leicester and Leicestershire. It's also worth noting as well that in terms of things you can do as business, and I think Ross will pick up on some of this in his presentation, but you can geo-target. So if you're wanting to attract businesses in a particular area or a particular reach, that's something that you can do through any paid for advertising. And like I say, part of Visit Leicester, our main purpose is to bring visitors into the area, not just talk to our existing customers and clients. With regard to international tourism, it's a good question. We all working closely with Visit England, Visit Britain. We've got a destination management plan review that finishes in 2025, and we've got another 5-year strategy that will commence. So there'll be people on this call that will be involved in the consultation for that, but international visitors will be and is expected to be a key part of that. We do need to do more to almost shape our offer to attract international visitors, but be really targeted on the areas in which we target, the countries that would wish to target, because we've got a great offer for certain countries, and it's just drilling down on that and working with our partners so we can really package that up in the right way.
Mike, can I just add something to what you've just said as well, just in response to Declan's question about what can Visit Leicester do to try and encourage more regional spread. So we've been just at the early stages of looking at Visit London as well, because they've got sections on their website which is about specifically promoting trips outside of London to try and encourage visitors to take a day out or go somewhere else and explore more of the country. So we've just approached them or in early stages of trying to discuss how we potentially get Leicester and Leicestershire promoted on their website, but also as well trying to get our information into the tourist information centres in London as well, so that actually visitors who are physically in London can pick up information about our area, and then potentially that has the opportunity to inspire them to visit. As Rachel mentioned, we're only literally just over an hour's train journey from St Pancras, and we're easily accessible by motorway as well. So we are in this early stages of trying to extend our reach on that basis.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. A question from Andrew. How can we encourage more filmmakers to make films in our area? Is Visit England working with organisations to promote our area as film destinations? Happy to pick. Go on,
I was
Rachel.
going to say film officers and screen officers are really helpful in that process. So so I think part of that's about a destination being welcoming, having all the information to know what's available, where can a crew stay, what are the filming permits, all that whole process of licensing. When a film is made somewhere, they need to find a destination that's going to be really receptive and supportive to the whole sort of process. So working with local film officers to do that is one of the key parts to that process. And film officers are getting set up around the country. There's been some that have been in place for many years and very established. Others are much newer. So it's really that interaction with a film office or a team equivalent to that, perhaps in some of the councils that do that really support the bringing in of films into a destination. But we're working nationally with those film organisations as well about that, and we're going to have, as part of this package of work, not just promotion, but we're going to be doing some work around film crews and so on. So there will be some opportunities for the LVAPs to then get involved in that in the coming months.
Wonderful, thank you.
Again, I can just add something locally, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So we're just in the process of, we're setting up a meeting in the new year with Film Leicester. So they've been quite proactive in trying to pull some people together in order to try and create a website, I suppose, really, or some additional information that we can use to really promote to these or pitch to these film companies about our location. As Rachel says, it is all about packaging up the information about where crews can stay. So we've got a meeting booked in January to start progressing that. So it's certainly something we're conscious of and aware of and want to move forward with.
And ordinarily, when businesses are looking for a location to film, the first thing that we would do is pick up that inquiry, work with our businesses on our patch to ensure that we've got that provision, and we can respond to those inquiries. And just looking in the chat link, Sarah Harrison's put that in as well. So that's Film Leicester under the brand, and again, we do work with businesses on our patch to respond to those inquiries. Okay, I'm going to move us on now to our next speaker, if that's okay. Our next speaker is Ross Tabard. He's an expert in digital and social media communications. And whether we like it or not, we're now fully immersed in the digital world, and we need to make sure that we make it work for ourselves and our businesses. Ross has worked in various different roles, including regional tourism businesses. He worked in local government currently, but also universities as well. His primary focus is about making sure that Leicester and Leicestershire is the destination for tourism. And it's also useful to know, if you ever need to know this, he's got a black book of a lot of social media influencers, including a number of celebrities as well. So Ross is going to explain how to use digital communication to get under the guard of your customers and how to maximise your own digital channels and that of others. Ross, it's over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike. So yeah, look, I'm Ross Tarvard. I'm the Comms and Marketing Officer for Visit Leicester, and I look after all of our digital content. So I'm going to talk to you about our secrets today, some of them at least. How to make a success of tourism marketing with loads of tips and tricks, info about what we do on a daily basis. So next slide, please. So we're the tourism organisation for Leicester and Leicestershire, as Rachel has explained, and we're here to support businesses, attractions, events around the region. Hopefully, most of you won't need an intro to us, but we shout about all of this great stuff. Marketing is so much easier when the product's premium, and around Leicester and Leicestershire, we have a ton of premium products. We've got incredible food and drink, we've got award-winning attractions, we've got the beautiful Leicestershire countryside, and obviously our city that's absolutely packed with things to do. So next slide. So Visit Leicester is mostly a digital service. As you can see, we have a pretty good audience across our range of platforms. The website's our main shop window. We have a newsletter, which is a great set of established and loyal customers, but the majority of our external advertising and reach comes through social media. We've grown this massively over the past few years through our insight, through experimentation, and quite a lot of hard work as well. And in this presentation, I'm going to try to show you how we got to this place and put through some tips as well. So next slide. So like I've said, the website's the main shop window, and we've worked really hard to make it as attractive, as enticing as possible. I should give a shout out to my colleague John, who is currently sunning himself on holiday, so he couldn't join us. But that hard work has really paid off in the reach that we have. 2.2 million page views on the site. On our average time spent on the site, which is way above our benchmark, and the consistent growth over the last few years. So one of the reasons for this increase is our meticulous SEO, or search engine optimization, which I'll get onto in a minute. We're always trying to be in the top 3 results on Google, but obviously aiming for first. And if you're not really in those top results, you really might as well not be there, because people always click the top. So we craft keywords, we work on the content, we research into improvements that we can make to the site, and most importantly, we look at the data to make sure that we're performing, and more on that soon. So next slide. We do exactly the same thing on social media. So one in 10 of our customers on the Visit Leicester website come from our social media. That's 542 people per day that go to our website thanks to our social media. We've had excellent growth over the last year, 29% up, and our new following was a massive increase, and it has been a massive increase each year we've been doing this for the past few. We established new accounts on Threads, which is Meta's equivalent to X, or Twitter as it was, and on LinkedIn as well for our business to business work. I put some links in the chat, but we'll put those back up at the end as well. We measure ourselves against the wider tourism sector, so through the tools that we use, we're able to check our engagement rate against the travel and tourism sector and similar types of accounts, and we're glad to see we were above the average for that one. And we continue to look at this data. We learn from others, and we refine our approach to creating and targeting content. The next, please. So content, how do you create the content that hits the spot, that resonates with people? And we've worked to refine our approach, and there's just a few rules that we try to stick to. So is your content informative and valuable? So does it address user needs? Does it provide solutions to their problems? Is the information in the right place, and is it easy to find? Is your content high quality? So is it well written? Is it free of errors? Is it engaging for readers? Are you telling a good story? And most importantly, is it the right length? You don't want to bore your audience into submission, but at the same time, you want them to stay on your site for long enough that your web page is going to be ranked as useful. Is it original and authoritative? So does it offer unique insights, establish you as an expert in your field? It's no good copying others. You need to be able to show that you're worth listening to and that you've got some unique content there. So it's about knowing what audiences and, of course, the almighty algorithm that pulls our content into Google are looking for. You've got to keep it simple, make sure that your layout and your structure is right, use listicles, top fives, things to do. Just think about what works when you're looking for something on the internet, and then that's a good way to go. Next slide, please. So SEO is all about writing the right stuff, right? Well, yes and no. So if you look at the text in white, and you've probably seen something similar to that before. It's attractive, it's well written, it might sound nice, but swap out the words. You could be describing anywhere in the UK. Try and pick out a word in that description that you personally would use as a search term in Google. There's probably not many in there. So this is where the art of SEO comes in. So next slide. So we like to keep it simple when we optimize our pages, and it's something that we regularly do for our paying partners. So you as a business or a professional will know the types of words, the keywords that your customers are looking for, whether that's on Google or in person. So make sure you use those. In optimizing our pages, we'll look at the header text. That's the wording that Google is most likely to use when looking for search keywords. For the main body text, we used to use our house style or information that was given to us by businesses. We now optimize this and make sure it reflects what users are actually searching for. So you can see the changes we've made to just a very simple intro where we've popped in things like best museums, family friendly attraction, Leicester City Centre, Leicester Museum. So there are words in there in that that text that Google pulls for that we know people are looking for because we've seen those search terms pop up in our analytics. Next slide, please. So images, the more quality images we can use, preferably more than 3 on each page, the more Google will treat that page as valuable. It's obviously important for our users to see inside and out of the venue, so make sure you pick those images carefully. And always add the alt text into the description. So this is obviously important for users who've got accessible needs. Just describe what the picture shows, a dinosaur skeleton in Leicester Museum and Art Gallery. So not only does that help your customers who have accessibility needs, but it obviously also helps with quality ranking for SEO. Next slide. So make sure that your content's up to date. We try to do that as often as possible. If there's a mention of an old date or an event on a page, then users are going to see that page as not useful and they're going to click off. And the bounce rate from the page negatively impacts that page's search ranking. And the same goes for not having enough content on the page. You've got to make sure that you keep them there long enough that Google knows that this is a useful page, but not too long. So we've seen some really horrendous examples of an essay on a page that doesn't actually give any useful information. So you've got to make sure that that content's good. Backlinks are a really, really important aspect of SEO. If you can get your website URL on other people's websites, it increases your domain authority. So Google will look at that and think, this website is clearly a good source of information. Of course, people are going to click the links, hopefully, and that will give you more traffic. But even the actual act of putting the link on the page is useful for SEO. Thanks. Next. So going to move on to social media now. This is just a quick snapshot of some of our social media content. Now we've got 49,000, nearly 50,000 followers across all of our channels. And we've become the trusted voice of the region for many people for events, information, and so on. Now, so obviously social media is all about raising awareness and grabbing people's attention. And we use a mix of imagery and videos, and we'll tailor that approach depending on what's working. If you've done any work on social media, then you'll know what's effective continually changes. And after a while, you get a feel for what resonates with your audience. And based on our experience of keeping up with the algorithms, posting what people want to see, this has led us to see better reach and better engagement year upon year. So what do? I mean, we showcase our successes or the city's successes and the county's successes. We try to inform people, to show them around. There's nothing better than making people feel like they're welcome, to give them a sense of what it feels like in the city and county, and to help them to experience something before they've even arrived. And that's one of our sort of main objectives. Next, please. We focus on telling stories about our place. Whether we're moving or static images, it's about creating a sense of belonging. This is just a couple of examples here of a dog-friendly hotel in the city, and also a bit of on-the-ground reporting of Leicester City's celebrations after winning the championship. Don't think we'll be seeing these sites again next year, but we can but hope. Now, hashtags are obviously important, but it's really important to keep them sensible. Include them as needed within the copy on your social media posts, but don't have a massive list on the end. It doesn't look great, and it actually can potentially negatively impact your post if you're just putting a big list of hashtags. In terms of captioning, keep it simple. Again, most people, when they're scrolling social media, are going to look, they're going to maybe do a like, and they're going to scroll past. But if they do go into your caption, what you want to do is make sure that you're giving them something to learn, or that's something that they're going to take an action from. So always think about, what you want people to do as a result of reading that. We are actually seeing social media moving away from hashtags and moving to more of an SEO focus even within the captions. So this is happening on Instagram and Facebook, but it's already the case on Threads, which, like I said, is the sort of the Facebook, Instagram version of what Twitter was. So on Threads, you can only use one hashtag per post, and the algorithm uses the rest of your content to put you into the feeds of people who search for that sort of thing. So if you have put in your posts lots of information, or you're tweeting or threading about dogs and Leicester City, then you're going to see more stuff about dogs and Leicester City. And where it comes to videos, on Instagram and especially on TikTok, your music choice is as important as your text, because when you choose music on there, you go onto that featured music page for that particular song. So whether you're using popular music on your posts or the non-royalty stuff if you have a business account, make sure that the song you pick has a lot of uses, and you'll be put into more people's search feeds. And finally on this, a word about AI. Obviously, there's been a huge growth of ChatGPT and other generative AI programs, and it's tempting to rely on it for content generation. It's definitely useful, but be careful of using AI to generate copy. It's only as good as the information it draws from, and while info about Leicester often draws from our website, which shows the power of our SEO, because it's obviously seen as valuable to the content generation tools, it can also draw from old and outdated info, which might also have good SEO, but put out bad information. So as a result of that, we've often found it can put out either outdated or incorrect info. So you've got to double check it and make sure. It's a really useful tool to refine something that you've already written, whether you want to make something more professional, more chatty and so on, but it's definitely not a tool that you can completely rely on. And what's more, people can smell that lack of authenticity in a AI generated post an absolute mile away. So just be careful when using AI. Next slide. So I'm going to move on to one of the most important topics in the presentation, and that's measurement. So measurement is as easy as ABC. So we say in the team, always be comparing, and there's absolutely a science to that. It's about keeping an eye on your metrics, your engagement on social media, the hits on your website, and if you're skilled enough through analytics, keeping an eye on the user journey all the way through. So knowing what your users are doing and how they're clicking through your website. If as a result of that you can see what works, then do more of it. We've looked long and hard at the types of content and the posts that resonate, so we have a pretty good idea of what hits with our audience. And this will be different on web than it is on social, and it will be different across your social channels as well. Now, we know that we have an older audience on our Facebook page than we do on Instagram, so if we're making a joke or using a meme, it's probably not going to go down quite as well on Facebook than it might do on somewhere like Instagram. So tailoring your content to the platform is absolutely the right thing to do. Next, please. So in terms of our measurement, we use Google Analytics and our social metrics to deep dive into stats on social and on the web, and we use this to decide our strategy. There've been quite a few recent changes to Google Analytics with GA4, and that means it's easier than ever to track location. We're able to see engagement and the user journey through our website much better than we ever have been before. And obviously we use this for reporting to our superiors, to the clients we work with, But also we look at our most popular pages, we look at the types of content that's getting traction, blogs, both organically and via social media. And again, when we know what's working, we do more of the same kind of thing. Word of mouth is as important as spreadsheets, and it's important to ask your customers when they come through the door where they've heard about you. It speaks volumes about whether your marketing activity and your spend is working. If you know who's driving business to you, it's going to make it much easier to invest in your success. And if you can crack what works for your audience, you're already halfway there anyway. Next, please. So this slide is really about collaboration in the broadest possible sense, but also about direct collabs on social media. So as people who promote the city and the county, we're stronger together when we work as a team. Every person who's out there talking positively about the city, about their county, every business who's selling themselves, every social media influencer out there is working towards the same aim, which is more footfall, more visitors, more sales, and more return visits. We're all out there pitching our destination, and when we all work together, we've just got a bigger hook to get those people in. If you've got great content, then others are going to want to use it, and it benefits everyone. So from our point of view, it makes our job easier. So we don't have to go out of our way to film and take pictures if you've already got something that we can potentially use. So the better your content, the more likely you are to be featured and picked up. So this just is a quick show of our Instagram feed, and actually on there you can see there's 5 collaborative posts on there from partners that we already work with, and they feature events that we weren't able to attend, new openings that we didn't actually know about before we saw the post, and general city information that's useful for our audience. We're not going to accept absolutely everything, but if the content's good and if it fits our aims, then we'll all benefit. So how do you get to the point where you're working with these people? So try and link in with others who are doing well, build relationships with them, maybe offer freebies in exchange for a feature. It's not always enough just to tag people into your post. Our notifications on Instagram, we've got 14,000 followers. Unless I've seen something immediately, it's likely it's going to be missed because I have to scroll down pages and pages and pages before I even see something that happened 3 hours ago. So build those relationships, make sure you're talking to those people so that they know that something's coming, and just request, talk to us and see if there's something that we can use, and we're happy to feature if that's the case. Next, please. So I'm going to talk a little bit about reaching a much wider audience, and for this you'll often have to pay for it. But how can you make the most of a limited marketing budget? Because we've all got limited marketing budgets. Yes, we do too. Paid social media can help you reach an audience that you haven't reached before, whether that's on Meta, whether that's Google, or LinkedIn and TripAdvisor. Although the last two, LinkedIn and TripAdvisor, is super expensive. So unless you've got a massive budget, maybe don't worry about them. Targeting on those platforms is really, really sophisticated now, and it's developed massively over the last year or so. And this is actually, I've talked about the dangers of AI. This is where I'm going to say use AI in this, because this is an example of excellent AI use. When you're setting up a campaign in Meta for Facebook advertising, they are able to use AI. So once you've identified a couple of types of audience, it will then give you suggestions of the types of audiences that are more likely to engage with your content. So you can use it to build your audience and build your ads. And then once the campaign's up and running, it again uses the AI to retarget and push your content in front of more eager eyes without you having to do anything, which is called Advantage Plus in the options. And that's a massive improvement over even a year ago, where we were having to tweak and change things as we went along, and now it's all done for us. So in this case, use AI. It's great. If you're looking to reach a national audience, then you'll obviously want to be talking about working alongside bigger agencies, the likes of the BBC, Visit England, and us. Obviously, Helenka's talked about this in terms of the wine tours, but we're here as a conduit to the likes of Visit England and to those types of people. So you'll find that no matter how many emails and press releases you'll personally send out, media networks rely on using trusted sources and contacts. So if you're working alongside us, if you've got something unique going on, if you've got some really, really great news, then let us know and we can use those contacts to help you. You can see on here, there's a few examples of some of the things that have been listed on Visit England's Leicestershire Leicester and Leicestershire feature page. So you got the likes of the Diwali Festival, Download Festival, the Comedy Festival, a bit of a guide to Leicestershire. So we've submitted imagery content on here. I'm not sure what that last one is. Mike's put something in there that but there's lots of great content on the Visit England site, and we've worked really closely with them to put that in front of people's eyes. Next slide, please. So when should you spend money? So you can call in an agency. So agencies can pull together campaigns, they can manage your content, but they are expensive, very much more so when you realize that half the cash you spend on a social media campaign with an agency goes on their admin fees. So what you spend isn't actually what you spend. But if you've got a big campaign and there's something you want to do and you haven't got the time to, yeah, absolutely use an agency. In terms of the paid social campaigns, you might be wondering whether it's best to boost a post or to run a campaign. Now, paying for a one and done boost of a social media post, it's quick, it's easy, it can be quite effective, and it's something that you can probably do in-house really quite easily with a credit card. And it's something that's great for a very short-term thing. You might want to get some extra people into an event. But if you use that money more smartly to invest and run a campaign, it will go further. You'll have more control, you'll have more ability to target, and you'll be able to tweak it as you go and do much more with that. We've done this for a number of paying customers and clients, and we're happy to do that with others. You will see people out there who will tell you to buy in mailing list subscribers. Don't do this. All you're doing is spending money to reach people who couldn't care less. You'd be better served using that money on a newsletter sign-up campaign. Target people across social media or Google ads. Find the customers who actually want your service and get them to sign up. It's a slower build. You're not going to get, so if you've got a boss saying get me 100,000 people on your mailing list now, then it's not going to do that. But what you will get from that is more return, more loyal customers, and a better long-term investment. So what are we trying to say here? In the words of the Beatles, money can't buy you love. You need to build an authentic connection with people. Building a loyal audience takes time, and it's really hard work. And there's lots of people here who work across social media who've spent years and years and years to build that audience. You can spend to boost your profile, but you've got to obviously take the next step and get those people through the door. And if anybody tells you that they're going to make you go viral, they're lying. Nobody can make you go viral, but if you're doing all of the right things, if you're putting your content out there, if you're engaging with your followers, if you're following user journeys, basically everything that we've just been talking about, then you'll be able to put yourself in the right position to take advantage. The South African golfer Gary Player once said, the harder I practice, the luckier I get. And it's absolutely the same here. Next, please. So hopefully that hasn't depressed you too much. There hasn't been too much over told, because obviously we're here to help. And I'm going to talk about what we can do for you. So first off, we can help to amplify your voice. If you've got the right stuff, we can include you in one of our campaigns like the 3 here. Like Rachel said, they have pillars at Visit England that they work to, and our campaigns work to those. So we've crafted these campaigns very carefully to make sure that we are able to take advantage of those national opportunities. So Uncover the Story is all about attractions, history, and the untold stories of our city and county. We have Fitcation, which is all about going out and about, going to outdoor activities, indoor activities, just doing stuff that gets you out and about into the region. And obviously Taste the Place is all about food and drink, and it's been one of our most successful campaigns so far. We've seen some fantastic successes with this. We've seen things like the Leicester curry capital coming back to, or sorry, the Britain's curry capital coming back to Leicester for the first time in many years. So these things do work, and we're able to push things through these. And we have one coming up focused on social sustainable tourism. So that's coming in the next year. So chat to us and we can see if we can work with you on those. We've got the connections and the ability to advocate for your business. So it could be as simple as including you in a top 10 places to eat blog. We could suggest your unique events or news to Visit England. We could speak on your behalf at a local tourism forum, or we could get you included in those local tourism forums. We've got a dedicated section on our website, which is aimed at giving you good information about local and regional campaigns. And also we've got links to the resources from Visit England and Visit Britain that Rachel's talked about, which are aimed at helping small to medium businesses with their marketing. We're going to share those links with you after with the presentation as well. So next, please. So, of course, if you want dedicated support from us, then we can give it to you. We have a range of different paid packages. These are annual and can give your business prominence on our website, along with a load of other benefits. So given our status as the official tourism organisation for the region and the reach we have, they're incredibly cost effective, as we've obviously got the platform to be able to put you out there. Now, our gold package is the biggest possible reach and includes all of this listed here. Next, please. Silver's a slightly more affordable, stripped back version of the gold package, still gives you a great opportunity to boost your profile, and it means you're going to be featured on the website and across our social media. Next, please. Bronze is going to boost your web profile, drive visitors to your website, and it'll also enhance your presence on our social media pages. Next. And if you do have a tight marketing budget, and we know everybody at the moment is trying to find every last penny at the moment, so we offer a basic entry level package for just $495, and we've shown that we can potentially triple traffic to your website even with something as simple as this. Now, the packages are not completely set in stone; they're subject to negotiation. We also do short run campaigns if you're looking to test the waters or promote an event. So just talk to us, see what we can do, and we're happy to help. The next. So that's the presentation. Here's the contact details. Scan the QR code. Follow us, or follow me on LinkedIn, but follow us. Visit Leicester as well. From this, we would like to sign everybody up to our business bulletin e-shot that we're not going to spam you with. It just gets sent out a few times a year with key information. We do most of our talking through the traditional social media and our LinkedIn page, so we're not going to kind of overwhelm you with information. So thank you very much. Next slide. I'm more than happy to try and answer any questions that came through.
That's wonderful, Ross. Thank you so much. I popped a question in the Q&A section. You mentioned about AI pulling content from other websites, and given the fact that obviously it could be cloning the information from other websites, could that potentially negatively impact your existing content? So basically mixing some good stuff with the bad?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said in one of the slides where we talked about making sure that your content is authoritative, making sure that it's unique. If you're just copying something that's out there, I think there was I can't remember the company, but somebody got into massive trouble recently where they basically just took their content wholesale from somebody else and ended up getting into a bit of legal trouble for that. So while it's great as an inspiration, you shouldn't be pulling content wholesale from elsewhere, because it will negatively impact and you're not going to go up the rankings as a result.
Thank you. A question from Annie: if we had an event that we thought would fit with a campaign, how would we get that information to you? How would we alert you, and how far in advance would you need in terms of notice?
So we can help promote events. We've obviously got an event calendar on the website, but that is very busy. There's about 900 events on it at the moment. So the best thing to do is contact us directly with information. Drop us an email, drop us a message, and let us know as far as in advance as you're able to be honest, because the more notice we have and the more that we can plan it into our very, very busy schedule, because we're obviously promoting stuff across Leicester and Leicestershire. So that, yeah, as soon as possible, and then just have a chat with us, and we'll see whether it does fit.
Wonderful, thank you. Through which email? A generic one.
So if you go back to the previous slide.
Yeah, your contact details are on there.
Contact details are on there, so that just come straight to me. But we can, once we've made contact, then we'll obviously be in touch with you, and we can sort of share with the rest of the team. So
And this presentation will be circulated as well, Annie, so you'll have those contact details if you've not got time to jot them down now.
Yeah.
An offer from Declan de Gresham is open to collaborating on posts with local experiences and promoting it to their guests. So if you want to connect, there's a LinkedIn link there where you can add Declan as a contact.
Perfect. And that's an ideal thing. It's not just about collaborating with us, it's about collaborating with each other, because actually as a region, you know, I've talked about this on one of the slides, but we see it all the time. The more people connect with each other, and we see it with all of our influencers locally, they all support each other, they're commenting on each other's posts, and it just drives them up in the feed of people. So the more you work with the other businesses, obviously there's competition out there, but there's so much good collaboration happening.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Ross. Does anybody have any other questions before I move on? No, Ross, that was excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And,
There's just one small there's a question come through from Louise, so saying there's a senior tourism officer at the Borough Council and whether we work directly with them. So if you're working with the local council, yes, we do have contacts within the local councils and with the teams in there. I'm not sure which borough council it would be, but they would work through the local tourism officers in the districts, and we have contact, and a few of the district officers are on this call actually, so we do work with them.
And there's also, and I'll let people read that for themselves, from Kamla, an opportunity for collaboration as well on a project that she's working on. So for those individuals that are interested in that, please just read in the chat that offer of collaboration as well. Okay, thanks, Ross. That was excellent. I'm just going to bring us on to a bit of a wrap up now. First of all, I just want to thank our speakers for the amazing presentations, but also thank you for the questions for our speakers as well. For me today, I just wanted to just pull together a few reflections from this morning. I mean, firstly, the attendance and the engagement during the session has really shown me that as businesses, we do recognise the importance of digital marketing, and we want to do as much as we can to support our customers. After reflecting on Rachel's presentation as a sector, I think it's clear to see that we are stronger when we're all working together. That can be either as a group of businesses locally. I mean, we've seen in the chat the offers of collaboration, but also as a county of businesses like an LVEP area. It's all about working together to promote Leicester and Leicestershire as a place for investment, but also for tourism as well. My biggest observation today, though, has been that we as a collective, we want to be better. You know, we want to promote our region in the most positive light possible. And that's the reason why we got up early this morning to join the call. And lastly, as well, the one thing I've seen is you don't have to be an expert. There has been a lot of information on there, whether it be in acronyms or how we promote ourselves. But ultimately, there are businesses out there that can help you work with and also piggyback on their existing reach and also the relationships as well. Before I wind up, I'm going to leave you with a quote from an American media guru called Paul Barron. And he refers to social media as being a great ideas generator, a trend mapper, and one of the most strategic compasses for online engagement for businesses. We're going to circulate this recording and it will contain the contact details of all of our speakers. And I just want to say a final thank you to Ross and Rachel for speaking today. And a big thank you to colleagues across Visit Leicester, John, Ross, Jackie and Kat as well. I thank you all for attending, and if I don't see you before, I hope you have a lovely festive period, and thanks again for supporting us. Thank you.